Okay, welcome back. This week we're talking about CEAS, which is the Special Consideration Scheme for VTAC. Before you can actually start your CEAS, you must have already registered with VTAC. That's creating your account. And then you have to have actually applied. And that's the part where you actually put in some preferences for a course. CEAS is the special consideration that gets applied by universities after you get your ATAR and before they make the offers. CEAS is used by the unis together with your ATAR, plus any subject bonuses, to make what's called a selection rank. Then the unis give out the offers in the order of selection ranks. And as you can see in this example, which we've shown before, AJ, who had a lower ATAR than Emma, he actually ends up with a higher selection rank, and that's because his CEAS is taken into account and some subject adjustments, and that boosts his ATAR from 75 as a ranking to 86 as a selection ranking. It can make a significant difference, and certainly for Greater Shepparton Secondary College students, you'd be crazy if you didn't apply for CEAS, because it will make a difference to being able to get offers. Just to further show and emphasise the kind of impact that CEAS can have on your application for a course, I'm going to use a tool that a few of the universities have available called CEAS calculators. I'm going to use Monash's, but you'll see that they're available with other universities also. This particular tool allows you to be able to put in predicted ATAR and then apply the particular circumstances. Here's the CEAS calculator. So let's say we've got an ATAR that we're estimating of 65. I'm then going to put in my own personal details, so my home address, and you'll see what's already happened. Just the fact that I am living in a regional area, my ATAR has been boosted to a selection rank 10 points above where I thought it was. Going to now include the school. You'll see that it doesn't actually impact any further, and that is because this calculator is worked out on a basis of providing a maximum of 10 bonuses. But in reality, you may actually get more bonuses than that. So the CEAS calculator clearly shows that even if I had just put in category 1, it's going to have a big impact on my selection rank. So when you've actually made your account, when you've registered, this is what your portal will look like. In this particular instance, this person hasn't yet completed a course application, so you can't see in the making an application box CEAS as an option to be able to do. Once this person did their course application, CEAS will appear there. So CEAS is the abbreviation for Special Entry Access Scheme, and it's a consideration program that applies across all of your course preferences. You only need to fill in one CEAS application, and it doesn't matter how many times you change your preferences, it will be applied to all of your preferences in your application. And it relates to circumstances beyond your control which have had a negative impact on your education. What it does is it allows selection officers at the institutions to grant special consideration for course entry based on those factors which they believe have impacted on the results that you achieved. So there are 4 different categories in CEAS. Category 1 is simply your personal information and location. And it's the simplest thing to be able to complete. All you need to do is generate your cease account, and then you tick the category 1 box. You say, yes, I've been negatively impacted. I'm ticking the category 1 box, and it will automatically allow access to personal information like your street address, the town that you reside in, the school that you attended, and whether that school is recognised as underrepresented. Category 2 is different. It's disadvantaged financial background, and you will have to provide some evidence for that will support the fact that you have been impacted negatively by financial circumstances. Category 3 is about disabilities or medical conditions. Now, those medical conditions can be mental or they can be physical. And category 4 is difficult circumstances, and it covers a wide range of things. It's almost everything that doesn't fit into the previous 3 categories. The best place to go to be able to get information and to understand how CEASE is going to work is the VTAC website. So if we just have a quick look. Okay, so this is where you created your account and where you log in each time. And one of the tabs, CEASE, provides extra information about applying for CEASE and about the kind of evidence and about how that information or how that special consideration is applied. So if we have a look at category 1, for instance, it explains what category 1 is, how you apply, the kind of information that might be appropriate for a particular course and taken into account by a particular selection officer at a university. And sometimes things like whether you are Indigenous or not, whether you are where you live or your school's location, whether you're an underrepresented school, and Greater Shepparton Secondary College, just like the 4 colleges that preceded it, are recognised as underrepresented. Whether you come from a non-English speaking background, if you are the first in your family to attend university. And it will also break down for each of the different institutions how they will apply or which particular subcategories of category 1 they're most interested in. It gives you information about the kind of statements you'll need to make where you have to make an impact statement, and the kind of evidence you might need to provide also. So category 2 is purely about financial disadvantage. It applies to applicants whose daily life has been affected by being disadvantaged financially. And you'll see that it details in the category a range of different ways that you can identify that disadvantage. If you are in receipt yourself of Centrelink benefits, then you'll already have a CRN, a Centrelink reference number. For category 2, and if you're in that situation, all you need to do is supply that number. You don't need to provide any further evidence because Centrelink have already recognised your disadvantage. If, however, your parents are in receipt of Centrelink payments, if you're the dependent of a parent or guardian in receipt of Centrelink benefits, then all you need to do is to be able to supply details of your parent, their relationship with you, and an example or evidence of a Centrelink payment that has been made. Now, you'll need to provide that kind of information, and it will be specified in your CEASE application exactly the details of those. However, if those things don't apply to you, Perhaps your family is in receipt of family tax benefit A. And if that's the case, again, that provides proof that you are considered to be financially disadvantaged. And all you need to do then is to provide evidence of that family tax benefit A, as well as the relationship between the person who that is provided to and yourself. So if it's your parent, you would note on the evidence that. So as you can see, for the financial documentation, it might only be your own CRN, or it might be documents of a benefit or family tax benefit that is received by your parent or your guardian. Or if neither of those are the case, but you have been impacted financially, then you can make a statement yourself that says that, and you can explain how you have been impacted, and then you have to have a statement of support. Somebody who is able to concur and confirm that you have suffered from those circumstances. Category 3 is about disability or medical condition. They could be due to any learning, physical, sensory, psychiatric or mental health medical condition, or an illness or disability. They could be something that was short-term, like a broken leg, or they could be something that's chronic. For Category 3, you will be required to actually describe the circumstances. You only have 150 characters to be able to do that. You'll also then have to go on to describe what the impact of those circumstances or the impact of that disability or medical condition had on you. And finally, you need to provide a statement of support from a health practitioner who is familiar with your situation or condition. Now that could be a doctor or a specialist or a psychologist, or it could be a school nurse. There's a wide range of people who can provide that evidence. Category 4, difficult circumstances. Now this is the one that doesn't fit into the previous categories. So it could cover things like being a refugee or an asylum seeker. It could cover things such as the death of an immediate family member or friend, or a long-term illness of a family member that has impacted on you. Family disruption through things like divorce or separation, or maybe have to relocate. Natural disasters, abusive living environments, homelessness, having to be a carer, being discriminated against, bullying, harassment or negative treatment, excessive family responsibility, or it could be that your education has been impacted by remote learning due to COVID. Now, you can only apply once for Category 4. If there were a number of those things which had affected you and impacted you, then you would need to include those in the one statement. So you'd need to be clever with how you will be able to combine those things, because you've got a limited number of characters. When it comes to COVID, everybody's been affected in some way. Now, some things have affected everybody. For example, the lack of ability for group study, being uncertain and difficult focusing, too much screen time, and those things have already been taken into account in the ATAR. They will be reflected in the ATAR in the ranking. But for some, remote learning issues have affected people differently. For example, not everybody's had the same internet access. Not everybody's had a suitable tablet or computer. Not everybody's had access to a workspace at home, or maybe their workspace at home has had to be shared amongst family, or their computers had to be shared amongst family. So in this process, you can actually indicate the level of disadvantage you personally experience due to remote learning as part of Category 4. And some people have been affected in an more an extreme sense. Maybe it's an economic hardship caused by COVID-19 restrictions. It might be that your parents have become unemployed, or that you're relying on one income when that's not normally the case. Well, you would factor those into a category 2 application, disadvantaged financial. Others have been affected by mental health conditions that have arisen from or been exacerbated by COVID. So you would build that into your category 3 application. Or in category 4, it might be that you've had extra caring responsibilities for siblings, or that there's been family violence that's been exacerbated by COVID-19. In those circumstances, you'll need to give consideration about how you apply that. Now, your neighbourhood leader should be the person who would be a good point of reference and discussion and working out the best way to approach your cease application. Or it could be somebody from the wellbeing team, somebody who you've had contact with. Or it could be a professional person who's provided some support to you. So the neighbourhood leaders at Maguire, Julie Hannon, Susan Kerwin, Tom Robinson, they're obviously going to be great resources for you. And at Wanganui, Kate Eddy, Serena Fleming and Simon Johnston. Or it could be a member of the careers team, Graham Crosby or Marianne Linehan or perhaps Tash Boyko or Ant Newham. They will be people who will be able to help you with your cease application, or at least provide information. But without doubt, the best source of information is the VTAC website. So become familiar with the categories on the VTAC website. Become familiar with which categories will require you to provide a statement of support and who should be providing that statement of support. If you need to have a discussion around how to word impact statements, neighbourhood leaders or the careers team will be able to help you nail down. I hope that's been helpful. I know that these are really difficult times, and normally we would be meeting with you in person, but that's just not possible at the moment. So spend the next couple of days looking at cease, identifying which categories are appropriate to you, then get onto the portal and start your cease application. Select the category 1. Everybody should be doing that. You can start on one category and save it, and then you can go back to it. You can revisit and edit your cease application as many times as you wish. The other thing is to be conscious of checking your inbox on VTAC. You'll be getting emails from VTAC letting you know things that you need to do, and you need to be conscious of that. Once VTAC have sent you an email, it's expected that you've read it. If you're unsure what that email is saying, then please reach out to your neighbourhood leader or to one of the careers team. Okay, bye for now. Finally, I just want to spend a few moments demonstrating something that you may not be aware exists on the careers website. We just go to post-school options, university. If we click on information about institutions and courses, here you'll see all of the country's universities and major private providers listed in their states. And what's really interesting is when you click on an individual university, like this one, it will bring up shortcuts to a whole range of different parts of their website which are relevant to you. So the early entry scheme for La Trobe is of course Aspire. And by hitting that link, it takes me immediately to the Aspire page. So it's a really useful tool. It's a great way of becoming familiar with all of those early entry schemes. I could also access it by going down to this link here, early entry schemes, and all of them across Australia are listed there. So in these difficult times when you're spending time already at your computer and perhaps a bit distracted, this might be a really good use of your time to be able to identify things that you might be entitled to and you might want to pursue. Okay, we'll speak soon. Bye for now.